Vedam Savadodam Parijana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishada Ginamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namosade Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhana Sube Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpadar Veshya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. What happened? You're not able to. Hare Krishna.
Voice is clear, Mataji. We can hear.
Okay. Vancha Kalpadarubhesha Kripa Sindhubhe Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhudale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Nidinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshadari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vatsari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So Bhakti Shastri. So chapter 5. We'll just start with chapter 5. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. 5.1 Arjuna Uvaja Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogam cha Samshasi Yatshreya Etayor Ekam Tanme Bruhi Sunishitam. Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work, and again you ask recommendation work with devotion. Now, will you kindly let me know definitely which of the two is more beneficial? So, should I renounce it or should I work with devotion?" So, Krishna, work in devotional service is better than dry mental speculation, because devotional service is easier than the latter, because being transcendental nature, it frees one from reaction. So 9th chapter, first sloka also says it, right? Susukam kartum avyayam Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Midam Uttavam Pratyakshavagavam Dharmyam Susukam kartum. It's very easy to perform. Even children can perform devotional service, clap in the kirtan, sing in the kirtan, dance in the kirtan, right? Have Krishna Prasad. So devotional service is better than dry mental speculation. So Krishna is going to give that answer. Shri Bhagavan Uvaja Sanyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyasa Karau Ubhav Tayostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyati. The personality God replied, renunciation of work and work in devotion, both are good for liberation, but of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. Work in devotional service is called as what? Does anyone know what is the term used? What is it?
Vikarma.
Work in devotional service is called as?
Is it?
Akarma. Vikarma is, Mataji, like going against the Shastras, like going against the law of God. So that is Vikarma, that which is not to be done. That is called Vikarma. Vikarma, like it should not be done. And this is Akarma. Akarma means it doesn't have any reaction for it. The devotional service, what we do, all the reactions of sinful activities, everything gets crushed because of that. So it's called Akarma. So this is what Bhagavatam says. Savai pumsa parodharmo yedo bhaktir adokshache ahetuki apradihada yayatma suprasitati. Okay, the supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted, which completely satisfy the self. Ahetuki apradihada. This is from 1st canto, 2nd chapter, 6th sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam says, ahetuki, it should be unmotivated. Unmotivated means there should not be any motive behind you are doing the devotional service. Like, oh, tomorrow I have an exam, so I'm chanting Hare Krishna. Or I want to become rich, I'm chanting Hare. No, there should not be motive for that. And uninterrupted. Apradihata. Like today my mood is not good, I'm not chanting. Tomorrow, like that. So no, we should not give any interruption to the devotional service. And yayatma suprasididi, atma, it satisfies the self. That's why, and to whom? Atokshaja. Okay, what is the meaning of atokshaja? Anyone knows? It's another term for Krishna, but what does it mean? Atokshaja. It has a meaning. Any idea? No. Atokshaja. Atokshaja means who's beyond our material senses. Like Krishna is beyond our material senses. To perceive him, it's very difficult to with our material senses, because he's above the 3 modes. He's transcendental. So that's Atokshaja. Okay. So we'll have a quick breakout room for 5 minutes. You have to read the 5.2 verse and purport and discuss the significant statements. Okay, this is your the significant statements. You just have to quote, like, what is this? You have to read the purport. All of you just go to the breakout room, and for 2 minutes you read the purport, and then you discuss the significant verse, like significant statement regarding the sloka. Okay, and you need to come back because it's little long purport by Srila Prabhupada, but then he has given very nice points in it. So you need to give what is significant in that particular verse. Just, I think 5 minutes would be fine. Okay, Hare Krishna. So, are you all
Hare
ready with
Krishna.
the significant
Yes.
statements? Okay.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, Ratnamala Mataji, you can start from room.
Yeah. Yes. So what we discussed was the main important point was renunciation. So when a person decides that he's giving up everything and he's renouncing everything, so that comes under the Mayavadi school. That is artificial renunciation, because when nothing belongs to you, belongs to us, how can we renounce it? So what Srila Prabhupada is telling, that the real renunciation is when we accept the fact that nothing belongs to us, everything belongs to Krishna. And so when we accept that fact, then the renunciation, and whatever, even if we give up everything and accept the fact that Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna, and work on that basis. So we don't give up our work, we continue with our work, but we do it with the devotional bhav, then that is called renunciation.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, room number 1, who's representing?
I'll represent Mataji.
Yes.
So we discussed, Mataji, that a person who doesn't actually strive to know his real identity keeps working for fruitive results and ends up in only dwelling in sense gratification, which keeps him transmigrating from one body to another. So basically, we must develop love for Vasudeva, for Krishna, and act as a spirit soul. Otherwise, there is no escape from material bondage. And when we act in Krishna consciousness, it helps us to escape the fruitive actions, and therefore we do not transcend to this material platform of life. And we also discussed that no one has anything. We don't own anything. No one can claim any proprietorship over anything. Actually, nothing belongs to anyone, and everything is Krishna's property. And one who is situated in this knowledge is always situated in renunciation.
Yes, very nice. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So here the significant points, yes, there is also like saying that this body is temporary, right? And it's giving us trouble in many ways. And also it said one must develop a love for devotional service to Vasudeva, right? Then only we'll have the opportunity to get out of the bondage of material existence. Very significant lessons to be learned. Okay. So yes. So both the rooms have discussed well. So once you finish the discussion, you can always come back to the main room. Okay. Yasa nitya sannyasi yona dveshti na kankshati nirbandho hi mahabaho sukam bandhat pramuchyate. Please remind me to post the attendance link around 8:15. Okay. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all duality, easily overcome material bondage, and is completely liberated, O mightily armed Arjuna. So somebody who has overcome the material bondage. Okay. So this is for pure devotees who's completely liberated. That means, can somebody explain what is liberation? What do you mean by liberation? What is that when you hear the term liberation or moksha or mukti? What does it come to your mind? Yes.
Liberation from miseries, Mataji, life problems.
All the problems like birth, death, old age, disease, and adhyatmik, adibhavik, adhidevi klesha. That means from the problems, in a sense, you mean liberation after death? Once we leave the body, right? The soul becomes
After death.
Yes. Any other definition for liberation? Yes, Mataji is right in that way. Yes, that's liberation again.
Liberation means going back to Godhead.
Good, yes, going back to Godhead. So the soul doesn't have to come to this material world anymore. It just go back to Godhead. Yes, that's liberation.
Mataji, is it liberation means freedom from the material world, all desires and all? No attachment to the material world.
Yeah, can a person, so leave from the cycle of birth and death, that's what Suresh Prabhu says. Yes, as Mataji said, that's right. But can, even in this material world, even still remaining in the material world, can somebody get liberated? Can you call somebody liberated when that person is still living in this material world? Can that happen?
When a person comes out of the conditioned position, he can be liberated.
Yes. So that means a pure devotee, right? Like Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
So even though they look like in the material body, in the material world, still their consciousness is above the three modes. So in the sense they are in Shuddha Sattvagun, or their consciousness full of Krishna, they're not materially attached anymore. So that's again the liberated condition, even within this material world. Yes, Prabhupada's example. So the analogy given is of a dry coconut. You know, the dry coconut, even though within the shell, it is still detached from the shell, no? You break open the dry coconut. You know, how do you know dry coconut and the young one? The dry coconut, it won't, when you shake it, you can't hear the water sound because there's no water inside. It's completely dried inside. And then what happens slowly when you open that shell, you see the coconut is like completely detached from the shell. So even though it's in the shell, it's still detached. Like Padmapatrami Vambasha, like the lotus leaf, you know, how it's detached. This is for pure devotees. So even though living in the material world, living in that material body, that soul is completely detached from this material world. That is called as liberation. Yeah, free from attachment, yes, in Krishna consciousness. So that is called Iharyasye haradase karmana manasa gira nikileshu api avasteshu jivan muktasa uchyate. So Rupa Goswami says in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, that karmana manasa gira. So if somebody is using his mind, words and deeds, everything in Krishna conscious activities, then jivan muktasa uchyate, he is considered already liberated. Right? Like pure devotees are already liberated. Shukadeva Goswami was already liberated. Krishna is the whole and we are the part and parcel of Krishna. Sankhya yoga pridagbhala pravadhandina panditaha ekam api astita samyak upayor vindate phalam. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service. Karma yoga has been different from the analytic study of the material world Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who apply himself well to one of these paths achieve the result of both. One process is to find the root of the tree, and another is to water the root of the tree. Can somebody explain this analogy of watering the root of the tree? This can be your Bhakti Shastri question, exam question. Watering the root of the tree analogy. What is that? Yes? Watering the root of the tree. Any idea? Ratnamala Mataji, you know?
Bija.
Yes, Suresh Prabhu?
Bija Mataji.
Yeah, but what is this analogy? Watering the root of the tree. What happens when we water the root of
Sense
the tree?
gratification.
When we water the root of the tree, it reaches to the branches and everywhere.
Yes. Yes, Sanjay Prabhu. So
one is to find the root of the tree, which is Sankhya, and the other is to water the root, is devotional service.
yes. So what is that root compared to, and what is the branches compared to? Okay, you water the root of the tree, as you said, yes, and then all the branches and leaves and fruits and everything gets nourished. Similarly, who's the root, who's the branches?
The root is Krishna and the branches are the demigods.
Yes, very good. So this is the comparison. So the root is Krishna, because he is the source of everything. Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. Krishna says, Aham Adirhi Devana. Aham Bija Pradapida. He is the seedling father. He is the root. So he is the cause of everything. And all the demigods are part of Krishna. So once you do Bhakti service to Krishna, then all other demigods are taken care. Like you water the root of the tree, the whole tree is nourished. I might have some network issue. So the whole tree gets nourished. You don't have to water the leaves and fruits and all separately. And so one process is to find the root, to know who, what is our sambandha with Krishna, the relationship with Krishna. Other is to water the root, as you all said, Bhakti or devotional service of Shravanam and Kirtanam is watering. So there is three processes, Sambandha, Avideya and Prayojana. Sambandha means to find out our relationship with Krishna. What is my relationship with Krishna? That's a Sambandha. Krishna Sambandha. Avideya is the process. By which process can I re-establish the lost relationship with Krishna? That's Avideya, Bhakti Avideya. And Prayojana is Krishna Prema, Prema Prayojana. So Krishna Sambandha, Bhakti Avideya and Prema Prayojana. Yat Sankhya Prapyate Sthanam Tad yogir api gamyate egam sankyam cha yogam cha yapashyati sa pashyati. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytic study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytic study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. So somebody who sees devotional service and analytic study means of the matter and spirit and all that. So if they see on the same level, that means they see things as they are. So the ultimate goal of life is self-realization, and the living entity is not a parcel of this material world, but we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna says, Mamevamsho jiva loge jiva bhuta sanadana manashastrani indriyani pratidistani karshati mameva amsha jiva loge. So we are all part and parcel of Krishna amsha. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptum ayogataha yoga yukto muni brahma nakshirena adhigacchati. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Okay, so it's very important to engage in devotional service. Otherwise, just renouncing everything and not doing devotional activities, then it doesn't make us happy. Because devotional service is Anandambudi Vardhanam Pradipadam Purnamritasmatanam. It's happiness in every step. Param Drishtva Nivartana, you get a higher taste and you make you happy. So is there any difference between Mayavadi Sannyasi and a Vaishnava Sannyasi? Does anyone know any difference? Is there any difference? What is it?
Mayavadi sannyasi wants to merge with the Brahman.
Good.
Vaishnava sannyasis want to go back to Godhead.
And serve him, right? So Vaishnava sannyasi like to serve Krishna. Mayavadis become want to become one with the Lord. Okay. Then what else? What else is the difference? Mayavadi is only Brahman merging. Yeah, that's called Sayuja Mukti. They just want Brahman Mukti. What else? That's the only difference. Yes.
Mayavadis don't believe in idol worship.
Yes. So Mayavadis, they don't worship, believe in the deity worship because they don't believe in the form of the Lord. Hey, Mayavadi Krishna Aparadi. That's what Mahaprabhu says. Yeah, they say Aham Brahmasmi, I'm God, you're God, all that. Yes. So, yes. So, and what about the danda which they hold? The Vaishnava Sannyasi have Tridanda. They have 3 dandas. And Mayavadi Sannyasi have 1 danda, Ega danda. That means they're showing we are one with the Lord. Vaishnava Sannyasis have their body, mind, and word submitted to the Lord. Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jidendriyaha Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma Kurvan Apina Libhyate. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. One who works in Krishna consciousness is a servant to all. He is very dear to everyone. Mind should be always fixed on Krishna. Then there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna. Right? So we should have to control the mind and senses. The best way to control your mind and senses is to engage your mind and senses in Krishna service. Right? So once your senses are engaged in serving the master of sense, what is another name of Krishna? Because he's the master of sense. Can you put in the chat? Yes, what is Krishna's another name? Because he's the master of senses. Nobody knows what Krishna is called because he's the master of senses. Yes? Yeah, yes, Neha Mataji. Good. Rishikesha. That's one of the reasons why Arjuna won in the battle of Kurukshetra, right? One of the, in the 9 reasons, one of the reasons is Rishikesha was with him. So Rishikesha is the master of senses. So Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tatparatvena Nirmalam. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchyate. So Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam means with our senses we should serve the master of senses. So then your mind and senses gets fixed. Naiva kinchit karomi ti yukto manyeta tattvaved pashen sranvan shprashan jigran asnan gachan swapan swashan pralapan vishprishan granam unmishan nimishan api indriyan indriyateshu vartanta ididharayan. A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always know within himself that he actually does nothing at all, because when speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always know that the only the material senses are engaged with the objects, and that he is aloof from them. In Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Okay, so this is what it said. Is there any difference between lust and love? Is there any difference, or is it the same? So what's the difference?
Love is pure, Mataji, unconditional. Lust comes under conditions and it greed and everything.
Yes, and lust is not pure, love is pure, yes, unconditional. And Suresh Prabhu got it right. He says, when you satisfy your senses, it is lust. And when you satisfy Krishna's senses, it's love. Yes, lust is sense gratification. Yes. So Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Krishnendriya Triptivancha Tarana Prem, Atmendriya Triptivancha Tarana Kam. So Atmendriya, Atma Indriya, if you try to satisfy your Indriyas or senses, then it's called lust. That's lust. But Krishna Indriya Triptivancha, if you want to satisfy Krishna's senses, then it's called love. Because the so-called love in this material world is also just lust. Because our real love is only with Krishna. And there's another verse which says, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tatparatvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchyate. This is the also seen in Bhakti Rasamachandra Nectar of Devotion. It says Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality Godhead, the Master of Sense, Rishikesha. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are 2 side effects. One is he becomes free from material designation. Sarva upadi vinirmuktam. He becomes free from material designation. Second is tat paratvena nirmala. The senses gets purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. So then Rishikena Rishike. So you have to engage your senses in serving the Master of Senses. Brahmani adhyaya karmani sangam tyaktva karodiya dipyantena sapapena padma patramivambasha. This is another example. Padma patramivambasha, like the lotus leaf is detached from everything. That's how a pure devotee works. One who performs his duty without attachments and bring the results to the Supreme Lord is unaffected by sinful action, as a lotus leaf is untouched by water. Everything in relation to the Supreme Brahman or Krishna, and thus everything belongs to him only. So everything belongs to the Lord, so we should not become attached. So this is what Ishopanishad Mantra 1 says. Ishavasam idam sarvam yatkancha jagatyam jagatyena tektena bunjita magrita kashyasviddaram. Everything, animate or inanimate, that is within the universe, is controlled and owned by the Lord. Ishavasam idam sarvam. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So everything belongs to the Lord. Isha vasamidam sarvam. Okay, everything. And whatever is set aside for us, we should just enjoy that. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalai indriyar api yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with senses only for the purpose of purification. So the yogis are not attached and they act with the body and mind only for the purpose of purification. There are no material reactions resulting from the activities of Krishna conscious person. No material reaction. So that's why it's called akarma. It applies everything produced by the body, mind, intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc. Whatever he have within his possession to Krishna service. So what is this term called as? Using everything in Krishna service. What is it called? Does anyone know? It's called as something. Yes. Using everything in Krishna service. Like we have a laptop we can use to learn Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. We have a phone, we can enter into the Zoom and learn the Shastras. We can use whatever we have in Krishna service. What is it called? Some kind of Vairagya it is. What Vairagya? That's a real type of Vairagya. Nishkama Karma Yoga is to not get attached to the fruits of activities, but using everything in Krishna service. Like you have a car, you use it in Krishna service to drop the devotees to go to the temple, like that. You have something and you use it in Krishna service. It's not like, oh, you see the laptop and you say, oh, it's Maya. I'm just, some yogis are like that. Oh, phone is Maya, or laptop is Maya. I can't have it. But what does a Krishna conscious person do? He uses that phone and laptop so that he can spread Krishna consciousness, to preach or to read the Shastras. So what is that called as? Yukta Vairagya. Okay. Anasaktasya Vishaya Yadarham Upayunjade Nirbande Krishna Sambande Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. Nirbande Krishna Sambande Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. So you see everything in relation to Krishna, that's called Yukta Vairagya. And the opposite is Falgu Vairagya. So this is what Yukta Vairagya, which is from Bhakti Samsando. Anasaktasya Vishaya Yadarham Upayunjade Nirbande Krishna Sambande Yukta Vairagya Uchyate. Accepting everything in relation to Krishna, that is Yukta Vairagya. Like Srila Prabhupada, somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, oh, you're traveling in big cars and everything. You're a sannyasi. You are supposed to renounce everything. Prabhupada's like, this all belongs to Krishna. And why can't I use it in preaching Krishna consciousness or in Krishna service? Why should I artificially renounce it? Why should I walk and go to some places to preach? I am taking flights. I am taking cars so that I can travel a long distance and go and preach. Before you people reach, I can reach. That's what Krishna says. Prabhupada was saying. So using everything in Krishna service, that's called Yukta Vairagya. Okay. Accepting. So Prabhupada never rejected anything. He used dictaphone, he used aeroplanes and everything so that it can be used in Krishna service. That's what we should do. The opposite is called Falgu Vairagya. Falgu is a river in Gaya, which looks deep, but it's not actually deep. It's very shallow. Prapanchika Dayaputi Hari Sambandhi Vastana Mumukshibi Parityago Vairagyam Falgu Kichate. Mumukshibi Parit. It's like artificially renounce. You renounce and which can be used in Krishna service, but artificially you give it up. That's just Falgu Vairagya. It's not the real type of Vairagya. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva shanti mapnodi naishtikim ayukta karma karena phale santo nibhadyate. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the results of his activities to me, whereas a person who's not in union with the divine, who's greedy for the fruits of his labor, become entangled. The person who's attached to the work and works for him only is certainly a liberated person. He's attached to Krishna. A person who's attached to Krishna and works for him is a certainly liberated person, and activities are on Krishna consciousness or in the absolute plane. So that person will get the real peace. He's not greedy for the results. As Mataji said, yes, it's called Nishkama Karma, where he's not attached to the fruits of the results. Sarva Karmani Manasa Sanyasaste Sudam Vasi Navadware Pure Dehi Naiva Kurmana Karen. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor forcing work to be done. What are the 9 gates in our body? Does anyone know? What are the 9 gates? Yes. Anybody can answer. 9 gates. In another way, what are the 9 openings?
Mataji, eyes, nose, ears, genitals.
Yes.
Mouth, Mataji.
Yes.
I'm not able to recollect the rest.
Yes. So the nine, you can count like 2 opening for the eyes, then 2 for the ears, 1 nostril, 1 mouth, then genitals and rectum. Okay, you done? Yeah. So yeah. So all these are the 9 gates. So it is said that when the soul leaves the body, the soul can go either through these one of the openings. Okay, sometimes you see in the dead body when they give the final bath, there might be some clot of blood in the nose, near the mouth, near the ears. So it's said that through that the soul leaves the body. For some who have gone to samadhi, there will be some blood on top of the head. Okay, so 5.13 also says about the 3 doers. 13 to 16 sloka says knowledge of the 3 doers. There are actually 3 doers. We are not the only doer. Who are the 3 doers? Does anyone know? We think we have done all this. Oh, I did that, I did this. But actually, it's we who's doing it, who's sanctioning it. We desire, the soul desires something, and who's actually sanctioning it?
Paramatma?
Paramatma, that's Krishna, right? So Krishna sanctions it. And who actually carries it out? The soul desires, the Paramatma or Krishna sanctions it. And who actually carries it out? Who's actually doing it? The 3 modes, okay? The 3 modes of material nature. So these are the 3 doers. The 3 doers are, one is the soul, one is the super soul, and another is the material nature. So one who understands that he is not the material body of senses is not concerned with their satisfaction. He appreciates that he has no direct control over material phenomenon, so attachment to them is useless. He's too busy serving the Lord in blissful Krishna consciousness to take the mundane sense gratification. So they surrender to the super soul. Devotionally, he fixes his consciousness, mind, intelligence, and faith and refuge on super soul. And thus one gets fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge attains liberation. Okay. One in knowledge is the body, not the self as the performer and cause of work. The soul plays within that. This is the 9 gates. There are 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, mouth, anus, and genitals. The soul has a choice. Although subjecting oneself to the condition of body, one can be beyond those conditions if one desire. So cause of the soul suffering is forgetfulness of a superior nature and identifying with material nature. That's why we are for suffering. Why are we suffering? Because we forget Krishna. Solution to the soul suffering is revival of our real position of Krishna by Krishna consciousness. So scripture says, when the living entity identifies the Lord within himself, he just becomes free as the Lord, even while in the body. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is free from both outer and inner activities of the material body. I think we can. So there are 29 slokas. So we'll do it in 2 parts. One today, and next week we can complete the chapter 5. So 5.14 says about establishing the role of the modes of material nature. Na kritva tvam na karmani logasya prabho na karma phala samyogam svabhastu pravartate. The embodied spirit, master of the cities of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So it's actually the modes of material nature who's actually carrying it out. So the living entity, the superior energy of the Lord, is compared to matter, which with his inferior energy. Yeah, I'll post the link. Ignorance is the cause of suffering for the conditioned soul. So identifying oneself with the body and its activities, the conditioned soul suffers due to ignorance, right? So ignorance is the reason why we suffer. The living entity is not the master. We think we are the master, but Krishna is the master. The soul is neither the proprietor nor the controller of the actions and reactions of the body. It's simply being tossed in the wave of material ocean in the struggle for existence. Best solution to save the living entity is to get out of the water by transcendental Krishna consciousness. Yeah, we just finished this more. Natate kashichit papam nachaiva sugradam vibo ajnanena vridam jnanam tena mukhyante jnantava. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied being, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. So the Lord is just a witness. Okay, he is not responsible for our suffering. We are responsible because we did that action, we desired. So the Lord is the ultimate performer and the cause. Na datte kashchit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhu ajnena vritam jnanam tena muhyanti jnandava. Not does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities, embodied being, however, are bewildered, right? Because of ignorance, which causes their real knowledge. So, Lord is called Vibhu, that is omniscient, and the living entity is called Anu, atomic. Since material nature works under the Supreme Lord, he is thus the ultimate performer and cause of all action. So, thus, Lord is responsible for all good and bad things in the world. No, the Lord only sanctions the desire of the minutely independent living entity. We have a minute independence and we misuse it. What can Lord do? Lord is a witness. He's a sanctioner and witness. It's the soul who initiates the desire, and therefore the living entity is responsible for good and bad reaction. So we are the one who actually desired it. So we are responsible. The Lord is just a sanctioner, and Lord is neutral to everyone. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshena sthina priya ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya me te teshu chapyaham. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourages one desire in such a way that one attains to him and be eternally happy. So there's a difference between the soul and the super soul. Soul and the super soul, there's a difference. The soul is eternal and super soul is also eternal. It's blissful but suffers when covered by Maya. Super soul is blissful. He's above the three modes. That's why he's called transcendental. The soul is cognizant in his body, but super soul is cognizant of all the bodies. We are Anu, or atomic, and Krishna is Vibhu, omniscient. He has minute, soul has a minute independence and desire, but is dependent upon the super soul. And super soul is completely independent. So just understand this picture. Okay, you understand this picture. The soul is the one. There are three people: soul, the super soul, and modes of material nature. The soul desires, the super soul sanctions, and the modes of material nature fulfills it. So this is the relationship between the soul, super soul, and material nature. Any doubt regarding this? So these are the three doers. So the soul is the one. We are the Jivatmas, are the one who desires it. Any action, good or bad, super soul sanctions it, and the three modes of material nature fulfills it. Okay. Is it clear? But why Krishna is sanctioning negative things also? Why Krishna is sanctioning negative things? Like if somebody wants to rob, somebody wants to kill someone, no, all that. All negative things. Why Krishna is sanctioning that then? Okay, I've posted the attendance link. Please fill it up. Does the soul gets contained? What does he mean? What do you mean by that, Prabhu? Does the soul gets
Contaminated, Mataji.
Oh, contaminated, definitely, yes. Because we are in the three modes of material nature, and when we are in association with Tamo Guna, definitely the contamination will come. Once we are into material world, the contamination can happen very easily. So it depends on with whom we associate, with whom we are in. So much of Tamo Guna, yes, the contamination can happen. The soul gets conditioned by the three modes. So the super soul is a sanctioner and is not responsible for our action because the soul is the one who desired it. Modes of material nature are the agents of the Lord in fulfilling the desire of the living entity. So it leads to a state of perfect knowledge. One can achieve real happiness and peace. But my question is, right? The soul desires, right? We desires, and super soul sanctions it. Not even a blade of grass moves without Krishna's knowledge. So why is Krishna allowing terrorism? Why is Krishna allowing all negative things happen in the world? Why? Why he had to sanction all that? That's my question. Understood? Yes. Why? Why do you think Krishna could have stopped all that? No, all the negative things happening in the whole world. So much of negative things. Yes, Shriya Mataji. Okay, sorry. Can you unmute?
Hare Krishna Mataji, because Krishna has given us free will. So he doesn't
Very good.
interfere with our free will. And otherwise, if a father would have interfered with the free will of child, then there is no independence of decision making. So that's why he sanctions everything. We have to choose what he has given us option. He has given us Gita, but we have to choose what we want.
Yeah, so Krishna has given a free will and then we misuse it. Then what can Krishna do? That's one thing. And yes, he don't interfere in your free will. right? Krishna doesn't interfere. Like a father give you 10 rupees. The father doesn't say which chocolate to buy. He just say, okay, get any chocolate you like. He doesn't interfere in that, your independence of choosing which chocolate it is, right? That's how fathers are. So if he goes on controlling you too much, then there is no free will. So there is a free will, a minute independence given to us. Krishna doesn't interfere in that. You can take positive desires, you can have negative desires. But why still Krishna is sanctioning it? To make us learn a lesson. That's because of your past karma also. Because, okay, that's also acting. But another thing is, like, if a child is so adamant to do some negative things, and the father says, like, finally, let he do it, so that he learn from the mistake, just learn something from it. So it's like a sweet father. He's giving us some lessons to be learned, so that in future we don't make the same mistake. So he is just a sanctioner. He is not interfering in your free will. The free will is like a cow tied to a rope, tied by a rope into a tree. So the cow can go only this much distance, no? How much ever the rope is. It can't go beyond it, right? Similarly, we also have a minute independence given by Krishna. We can have that freedom only in a radius, in some diameter. That's it. That's our freedom. But then if you misuse it, then we have to suffer for the reaction. And Krishna sanctions it just to make us learn a lesson for it. So if something problem comes in our life, definitely it's our past karma. We desired it and we are suffering the reaction. Then the moment you take up to Krishna consciousness, all the reactions are burnt up. Krishna says, Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo. He takes up all the reactions. But what we can do is we can learn from the lessons, right? Anything happening in our life, we can learn from it. Like, why this is happening to me? Yes, because of my past karma. But then what is the lesson I can learn from that? So I don't repeat in the future. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So that's called, yes, prakrita karma and prarabdha karma and aprarabdha karma. So that's prarabdha karma is manifested reaction, prarabdha is unmanifested reaction. So when you do some sin, it may not be necessary that in this life only you suffer, right? You can suffer, the reaction can come after 10 lives. It can come after, like how Dhritarashtra got the reaction after 50 janmas. So it's possible. So that's called prarabdha karma, the reaction coming manifested. But some reactions, it can take so many janmas, that's like unmanifested or aprarabdha karma. It can fructify any type. So that is fructified and unfructified karmas. Okay, so we should understand that we are not the only doers. So we should not be proud of whatever we do, because if I want to lift my hand, also Krishna has to sanction, right? I'm not independent. Everything is dependent on the Lord. So it's the Lord who actually sanctions me, sanctions us to do something. And the three modes of material nature carries it out. But we have the minute independence. We should see, you had a choice. You could have come to the class, or you could have gone for a movie or something. You had a choice, but then you took it in the right thing, or you did the right choice by coming to the class. So similarly, Krishna doesn't interfere in our freedom. Every day we have some freedom. Every moment we have a freedom, but we should not misuse it. We should use it in the right way. And it is said that if you want to have Krishna in your life, Krishna sees that your life is molded in such a way that all the time you have Krishna. But then if you want to forget Krishna and live, then Krishna again will mold your life in such a way that you never remember him. So you forget him. So it's up to us to decide whether I want Krishna in my life. So we have the minute independence, which nobody can interfere into it. Even the Supreme Lord doesn't interfere. And then if we do make the right choice, and that's possible by nice association with devotees and studying the Shastras and everything. Okay. So all of you filled the attendance form. Okay. So I'll post the next open book exam today, question today, by next Sunday. Probably by next Sunday, you can all upload. The last assignment was good, but only thing is a couple of people were typing it. Don't type the assignment, always write it. Better to write. And one mistake I saw commonly is many didn't have a introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Okay. Oh, the YouTube link, yes, Mataji, I'll post it. So you should have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. You can quote some verses if you like, and write at least 2-3 pages. It should be like Open book means like an essay question, and then read the question again and again. And if the question has like practical application or preaching application or personal application, you're supposed to mention that. If it is asking your personal application, you should write I in my life, all that. Preaching application, you can use it as a preaching tool. So the different parts of the question should be answered. Okay. Otherwise, everyone have written it nicely. Okay, I'll post the link also to upload, where you can upload the open book question. Okay, any questions for today, or can we stop? Hare Krishna. So by next class, we can just only 29 slokas of this chapter. Fifth chapter is very small. So please start memorizing the verses also for sloka exam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
You had asked us to remind you about Golaka chart. You said you will be explaining it to us. Some 2-3 weeks back, you had
the
asked
Golaka
us.
chart.
Yeah, so please sometime you explain it to us.
Okay. In level 1, you when you did the level 1, you didn't learn it. Now, some teachers
no, Mataji.
Okay, I'll just quickly do it in 5 minutes. So this is a Golaka chart. I can share you the PDF. So here, let's start from down. So this is, I need to closely look it, as you won't able to understand. Okay, so this is our universe now. Okay, now when you go up, can you see Karanadakshay Vishnu? So from Karanadakshay Vishnu's sweat pose, different universes are coming. So all these bubbles are the different universes. There are millions of universes. In that, one of this bubble is our universe, which is expanded here. So there you have the Garbhodakshai ocean, where Garbhodakshai Vishnu lying. You can see here. So there's Garbhodakshai Vishnu lying in the Garbhodakshai ocean. Okay. Now from his navel comes a stem of lotus, which the stem and the lotus where Lord Brahma is born. So in that stem, the 14 planetary system are born. Like we are the earth here, Bur. We have 6 upper planetary system or heavenly planets and 7 lower planetary system, or it's called hellish planets. So you have Bhuvar, Swar, Maharlok, Janalok, Tapalok, and Satyalok. Then below we have Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. So these are the different planetary system. Now, once these are the material world. Now, the coverings of the material world is, you can see here, earth, water, fire, air, ether, false ego, and Mahatattva. Now, once you cross it and come, then is the Devi Loka. That's Maya Rama Devi. Then is Shambhu, that is Mahakala Dama, or the Sadashiva Loka. And next is Brahmacharya. So this bubble is the material universe, material world. So even Brahma's world is also in the material world. So even if you go to Brahma's world, there is rebirth. Now this is Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is the effulgence that's coming from Krishna's body. But the Mayavadis want to merge here, but that's not the Lord. Beyond you need to go. Then is Vaikuntha. So when you go to Vaikuntha, yeah. So this is Vaikuntha, and in Vaikuntha you can see the Lord in the Lakshmi Narayan form, the 400 form, and you have all the expansions like Aniruddha, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, all of them here. Okay, and that's the Vaikuntha world. This is again spiritual world. Vaikuntha is also spiritual. Above that is Ayodhya, you can see, and then to the side is Jagannath Puri, Mathura, Dwaraka, Jagannath Puri, and Mathura. And the topmost of the spiritual world is Goloka Vrindavan. The Goloka Vrindavan is like a lotus, you can see. The 8-petal lotus, and each lotus has the pastimes of Krishna happening. And there are 8 petals are the Ashtasakis of Krishna and Radharani. That is Lalita, Vishaka, Induleka, and all of them. And you can see in the Goloka, there is also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the side. You can see. So if you worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, there's a direct entry to Goloka here. So this is the Goloka chart. So this is the hierarchy of our planetary system. So this is a chart. And amazing thing is, to reach Goloka, there is a mantra which is connecting directly from the earthly planet to the Goloka. You can see here, this is earth where there is a lot of human beings, and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra just goes up, 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 and it crosses the material world, and it passes through the Vaikuntha, and here it goes. it reaches Goloka directly. So this is the mantra. It just goes like that and it enters into the Goloka. So this is the chart. And towards the side of the Goloka chart, the explanation of Krishna, different expansion is given here. If you see this part, it's very, very easy to remember here. So Krishna is Swayam Rupa, the original form, and his first expansion is Balram. From Balram comes the first Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva, Niruddha, Pradyumna, and Sankarshana. That's called the Ati Chaturvyuha. From Sankarshana comes Lord Narayan, and the Dvidiya Chaturvyuha, that's the second Chaturvyuha, comes. That is again Vasudeva, Mahasankarshana, Pradyumna, and Niruddha. And from Mahasankarshana comes the Purusha Avatar. The three Purusha Avatar is here. Karnadakshay Vishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, and Kshiradakshay Vishnu. Karnadakshay Vishnu is the cause, is Mahavishnu, is the cause of creation. Garbhadakshay Vishnu is the one who's from navel, the lotus comes, Brahma comes, and all the planetary system comes. Kshiradakshay Vishnu is the Paramatma in our heart. The Kshiradakshay Vishnu takes all the avatar. That's why we say, oh, the Narasimha, Vamana, all are Vishnu's avatar. No, it is originally coming from Krishna, but Vishnu is also an expansion of Krishna. But it's Kshirodaya Vishnu who's actually taking all the avatar, in the sense the Leela avatar, Guna avatar, Shakti Avesha avatar, Yuga avatar, and Manvantara avatar. Okay, this is so much in detail. You don't have to know all these things, but at least understand that where our position is. We are in the Burlok, that's Earth. Now we are here. So this is the 14 planetary system. So we are in like this, there are millions of universe. Our universe is like a mustard in the bag of mustard seed. So in so many mustards, so many universes, ours is one universe. In that universe, there are 14 planetary system. In that 14 planetary system, we are in the Earth. In that Earth, we are in a particular country and continent and village or whatever it is. And where are we? Where are we? We are nothing. We are very insignificant for Krishna. But then Krishna takes care of all of them, right? So just imagine how much the Lord is 24 hours thinking of you, every living entity in every universe. So Shastra, the scientists cannot prove life in all the other planetary systems or all that. But then, scientists cannot prove, but Shastra proves it. So this is the Goloka chart.